So that is not tax deferred. You can contribute into that, but each year CRA gives you a minimum limit, maximum limit you can contribute into it depending on what they decide. So each year they will say, okay, this year you can contribute 7,000. Next year they might say 8,000, but the way they determine that is just whatever is going around the country, maybe inflation and all that, that is what determines how much you can contribute. And everything you contribute into it, each year, so each year, if you don't contribute the maximum limit this year, it gets carried over to the next year. So if you don't contribute this year, you can contribute what you missed this year. It's compounding each year. So currently it's about the total amount you can contribute into it is about $109,000 altogether from, it started in 2019. So if you look at every contribution room each year, adding everything together is about 109,000. You don't have to contribute that 109,000, but you can contribute it. If you go beyond 109,000 limit, you get penalized 1% every month until you withdraw the amount that you've gone over your limit. So that is just the downside to that, but you can withdraw your money at any time without any penalty. So there is no tax on that when you withdraw from your TFSA. So usually if you want to withdraw, it is usually advisable to withdraw around December, because if you withdraw earlier than that, you can't contribute. If you don't have any room, you can't contribute it back until the next year, because what you withdraw this year would get added back the next year for you, so you can contribute that back so you don't go over your limit. So that is just the difference between the RRSPs and the TFSA. The next one is going to be the RESP, which I believe is very important for those that have kids among us. It is called the Registered Education Savings Plan. With the Registered Education Savings Plan, you can contribute as much as you want, but the maximum amount you should contribute to get the optimum amount from the government is $2,500. So for every $2,500 you contribute, you get $500 back from the government in terms of grant, and you can also have what we call the bond. The bond is usually from the provincial government, depending on what your income level is. That is what is going to determine how much you can get back. But the maximum amount to get the optimum back from the government is $2,500. For that $2,500, you get $500 back from the government. Okay. So on my slide there, I stipulated the features, purpose, maximum contribution, need earned income, contribution room created, and carry forward. On the left side, that is just the heading. So with the RRSPs, I put the investment at the top. If you look there, the retirement savings plan, flexible tax-free savings account for the, I prefer to say, okay. For the TFSA, you have flexible tax-free savings, which I've explained. So whatever you contribute into the TFSA, you don't get taxed on the growth or whatever you contribute when you withdraw. So with the first home savings account, that is also usually good if you're buying your first home. Each year, with the first home savings account, education, the RESP is for education, and the RDSP is for disability plan. So that is if you have anyone that is if you have any type of disability and you are claiming that on your taxes. So you can open that account and you get some benefit from the government. So, so for the maximum contribution age for your RSP, you can't contribute on the year you turn 71. That is the when you won't be able to contribute back into your RRSP. It's kind of confusing for me to be facing back. Yes, so yes, yeah, yeah. So that purpose for the TFSA, I said retirement savings. For TFSA is flexible tax-free savings. For first home savings account, that is the FHSA. So you have first home savings, and for RESP is for education savings, RDSP is for disability savings. The maximum contribution age for the RRSP is until December 31st, when you turn 71. That is when you won't be able to contribute into RRSP anymore. For TFSA, there is no maximum age for that. You can contribute until you're still alive, in as much as you still have the contribution room. So with First Home Savings Account, the RDSP contribution ends until the beneficiary turns 59. So for the need earned income, so you need to earn income to be able to contribute into RRSP. For the TFSA, you don't need income to be able to contribute into. Income. And for TFSA, yes, the contribution room is also usually created each year, depending on what the CRA determines your limit. Everyone limit is the same for TFSA. For First Home Savings Account, so it is, even though you're not contributing into First Home Savings Account, even though you don't have money, it is usually beneficial to open it. So because contribution from this year and next year get added together. But if you don't open it this year and you open it next year, you only have just 1 year contribution room. And annual contribution room is $8,000 up to $40,000. So for RDSP, there is no annual contribution room limit, but the optimum amount you need to contribute is about $2,500, just for you to get the 500 from the 500 grant from the government each year. So it is usually advisable. Some people say we don't have money, but advice I usually give to client is we receive like child benefits. You just ignore that as if you don't receive it and just use it as your contribution for the RESP, so you can get the 500 from there. So if you contribute more than 2,500, you don't get anything else. So, and with the RDSP, no annual room, but there is a lifetime contribution limit. Just like I said, with the RRSP, you can carry forward your contribution room accumulates. And with First Home Savings Account, your contribution room is limited. Just like I said, if you don't open it, your contribution room doesn't accumulate. You just have your contribution room starts the year you open it. RESP, contribution room is not applicable to that, and with RDSP is not also applicable to that. Next slide. Next slide, please. With RRSP, you can deduct so for example, each year, when you want to contribute into RRSP, your income should be anything from 60,000 and above, because that is when you get the optimum benefit for it. So even though you can withdraw it again, you can withdraw it for your first home, but if you don't earn anything above 60,000, so you're losing one of the benefits of the RRSP, which is, for example, if you contribute 5,000 that $5,000, you can claim it against your income. For example, if you earn $60,000, you can deduct that $5,000 from your income and you just pay taxes on the $55,000 income. That is why it's always advisable if you're not earning anything above 60,000, RRSP may not be beneficial to you because you won't have enough tax return from the government to benefit from what you're contributing into that. So with tax-free savings account, your contribution is not deductible against your income. For first home savings account, your contribution is always deductible also from your income. For example, if you contribute $8,000 into first home savings account and you earn $60,000, that $8,000 get deducted from your income and you get charged. You get taxed on $82,000. With RESP, you don't get the tax deductible contribution, and also that applies to RDSP too. So just like I said, with RRSP, your growth is tax deferred. For example, if you invest $5,000 and you earn a return of $1,000, it is expected that you are deferring the taxes because you won't be paying taxes on your return compared to if you invest out what we call unregistered. So these are all registered investment. If you do it outside unregistered, for example, if you invest $5,000 and you earn $1,000, that $1,000 get added to your income and you get taxed on that. So that is why these are all registered. So for tax-free savings account, your growth, you can withdraw it without being taxed on it as compared. So with first home savings account, it's also tax-free. So with first home savings account, the only time you can withdraw from it is if you're buying your first home. If you're not buying your first home and you withdraw from it, you get taxed on the growth that you withdraw out of that. So if you invest in first home savings account and you don't use it at the end of the day, you can transfer it into your RRSP without paying any taxes, but any other thing apart from that, you get taxed on it. So with RESP, the return is also tax deferred. It's also tax deferred because you don't get taxed on the growth. It doesn't get added to your income. It just keeps growing until you start taking them out. That is why they said it's tax deferred, because when you're growing the money, you don't get taxed on it, but you get taxed when you start taking the money out. So for the government grant, so with RRSP, you don't get any government grant from that. From tax-free savings accounts, no government grant. From first home savings account, no government grant. With RESP, just like I said, you get 20% of the first 2,500, which is equals to 500. So, and there's also CLB, which you receive 500 for the first year of eligibility, plus 100 for each subsequent year the child qualified up to the age of 18. So, and you also have a lifetime maximum per eligible child up to $2,000. So, and all those CLB is always depending on what kind your family net income. So that is what you're going to determine if you're going to earn this CLB. So, but when your child turns 6 years, you get a grant from the BC government up to $1,200. You would usually, if you have an RESP opened already, you would usually receive a letter from your financial institution that your child has qualified for that, and you can apply for that and get it. So with RDSP, you get government matches up to contribution up to 300%, 200%, or 100%, depending on your income. So for every $1 you contribute into RDSP, you get $3 back. So if you have any disability and you're claiming it on your taxes, you can use that opportunity to earn more grant from government, and all those percentage is also depending on your family income, the family net income. With lifetime contribution limit for RRSP, there is no limit. For tax-free savings account, there is no limit. For first home savings account, you can contribute for 7 years, which is 8,000 times 7. That will give you 40,000. That is the maximum amount you can contribute into it as of now. So with RDSP, that is going to be 50,000 per beneficiary. So when you are opening the RDSP, you can either do family account, which is you open one account and you add 2 beneficiaries into that account. It's usually beneficial to do it that way rather than opening 2 separate for each beneficiary, because if you do a separate account and one beneficiary decide I'm not going to school, you have to return every grant and the growth you've gotten back to the government. The grant back to the government and the growth you can donate it to an higher institution and get your contribution back. So that is why it's usually to do a family plan. And for RDSP, the maximum contribution from you is up to $200,000. If you go over your contribution limit for each of these RRSP, TFSA, First Home Savings Account, and RESP, you get charged 1% monthly on the excess contribution until you withdraw it back. So it is usually, you can open as many of these accounts, but you just have to keep an eye on your contribution room. Make sure you don't go, if you add every account together, you shouldn't go beyond your contribution room. If you go, you get charged the 1% excess limit. So, and for the RDSP, there may be a penalty or not. Next slide. So withdrawal and conversion room. So with the RRSP, you can withdraw at any time. TFSA withdraw at any time. First home saving, you can withdraw at any time. RDSP, you can only withdraw that when your beneficiaries start going to school. So there is usually 2 portions in RESP, which is what we call the PSC. That is PSC and the EAP. The PSC is your personal contribution and the EAP is what you got back from the government. When you're withdrawing from the RESP, it's usually beneficial to withdraw the EAP portion, because if you don't utilize everything before your child graduates, you'd have to return all those. But you can, so that is why it's usually beneficial to take out the EAP first before you take out your personal contribution. So RDSP is kind of a complex account. So it's usually, so when we want to open it, we usually advise to contact an accountant or a lawyer, because they have more all the knowledge and everything for us before we can open it. So we would open it if you want to go ahead, but you have to beneficial to consult an accountant or a lawyer before you open the RDSP, because they know all the intricacies and all of the benefits that we may not know. So withdrawal with taxation. So RRSP, the withdrawal is taxable as your income, and tax-free savings account is tax-free. First home savings account, you don't get taxed on that if you withdraw that for your first home. With RESP, you can the RESP withdrawal is not taxed on you; it's taxed on the beneficiary. And you're only taxed, and they are only taxed on the government grant and the growth. Whatever you contribute, they don't get taxed on there. They won't usually pay taxes because when they are going to school, their income is very, very low. So the taxes is kind of negligible. So RRSP, yes, I explained the RRSP. Then with RDSP, the government portion get taxed. Whatever you get back from the government get taxed, and your contribution doesn't get taxed. So with RRSP, just like I said earlier, your withdrawal, you don't restore your contribution room. For example, if you withdraw from it, your contribution room, you've lost it. But with TFSA, your contribution room get added. Whatever you withdraw gets added the next year. And for first home savings account, you don't restore your contribution. Once you withdraw it, you've lost that room. So with RRSP, when you when you are getting to the age of retirement, it is usually beneficial to start withdrawing out of your RRSP, because whatever you withdraw out may affect your OAS, which is the benefit, old age benefit, and your government, and also the added benefit that you get from government. So you just withdraw them when you are getting close to your withdrawal. It's better to just liquidate your RRSP first before you start withdrawing from other registered account. So with tax-free savings account, whatever you have there, even if you're withdrawing it at retirement, it doesn't affect any government benefit. So with first home savings account, if you've not taken it out for your first home savings account and you want to start taking it out for other purposes, you get taxed. With RDSP, just like I said, usually you won't, the donor won't be taxed, but the beneficiary, the growth and the grant will be taxed in the hands of the beneficiary. But the taxes is kind of negligible because it's going to be in a very lower bracket because they don't earn too much income. Yes. So that is just some of the benefits for now. But when every individual is kind of different. I wouldn't want you to see this as personal investment advice, but this is just the general information because every individual is different from the current state they have financially. So that is, you have to speak with someone to know which area would be more beneficial to you because they serve different purpose at different time and at different time in your life stage. Yeah. I think there is one more slide before that. Yeah, so with you can withdraw that with RRSP, you can withdraw that at any time. RDSP restricted for education and RGSP restricted and kind of complex. That is why you have to speak to a lawyer and an accountant before you kind of go into the RDSP. So with the mandatory conversion with RRSP, when you turn 71, the year you turn 71, you have to convert that to RIF. So that because at 71 there is a minimum amount that has to be taken out every year. You can change. So there's a minimum. If you don't change anything, you just receive the minimum amount, but you can change to whatever amount you want to receive when you turn to 71 from the RRSP. With TFSA, you don't have to change anything. With first home savings account, you have to close that after 15 years or by when you turn age 71. So RDSP, you terminate it. You have to terminate that account once it's been open for 35 years, or when there is nothing left in that account, you have to close that. With RDSP, lifetime disability assistance payment begins when you have to start withdrawing it when you turn 60. So with RDSP. Next slide, please. So just some of the key highlights for RRSP. So contribution are tax deductible and reduced tax income. So just like I've explained, when you contribute, whatever you contribute, you can claim it against your income. For example, if you withdraw $5,000, and you earn $60,000, you can reduce that by deducting the $5,000 from your income, and you just get taxed on $55,000. So that is why it's kind of beneficial before you open an RSP. Make sure you earn anything above $60,000 for you to earn the optimum amount. Contribution room is based on 18% of your prior year. So what you earned last year, 18% of that would be your contribution room. All your contribution room, you can find them through CRA. If you log into your CRA website, and there's somewhere you click on, and you can see all your room for your TFSA and your RRSP. So unused contribution room gets carried forward indefinitely Withdrawal are taxable unless under home buyer's plan or long life learning plan. So RRSP, you can also withdraw that for if you are going back to school, if you don't have an RESP, but you have to contribute whatever you withdraw back within 15 years. So with RRSP, you must convert it to RIF or annuity by the end of the year you turn 71. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so that is just some of the highlight for RRSP. I believe TFSA should be the one. Okay. With tax-free savings account, there is a contribution room. The contribution room is usually determined by CRA each year, and those the contribution room is usually carried forward, and the maximum limit right now is about $109,000. So you can contribute. You don't have to contribute that all at once, and you can contribute them in batches. So with sometimes we believe, okay, we don't have enough money to contribute into this. We can, there's something, okay. So with tax-free savings account, there's no end income required to contribute into tax-free savings account. Investment growth and withdrawal are completely tax-free. Withdrawal create new contribution room following the next calendar year. And TFSA does not generally impact income taxed government benefit. For example, by the time you turn 71 and you start withdrawing from your TFSA, it doesn't affect your OAS or your GIS. It is ideal for flexible long-term savings and emergency funds. So TFSA is usually good if you're planning for long-term. It's not something that you can use for emergency fund. You can use it for emergency fund, but it's not advisable to use it for something for your emergency fund. So emergency fund is usually done outside of a registered plan. That is just because for you not to lose your contribution room and not to defeat the purpose of opening a TFSA. Next slide, please. So for first home savings account, it combines the benefit of a tax deduction with TFSA style of qualifying withdrawal. So that means you can get the benefit with first home savings account, you can get the benefit of an RRSP and the benefits of a TFSA together. That's because when you contribute into first home savings account, you can withdraw without taxes, and whatever contribution you make, you can claim that against your income. So it is designed for first home buyers. So if you've not owned any home in the last 5 years, you can open a first home savings account and you can withdraw that whenever you are at any time when you're buying your home. Annual contribution limit is usually $8,000 for now, and the cap is just $40,000, and that is within 7 years. So if you might, yes, that is, yes, okay. Yeah, so unused contribution can be carried forward up to 1 additional year. So for example, if you don't contribute this year, you can contribute next year. You must close your first home savings account within 15 years upon home purchase or by when you turn 71. Next slide, please. So for RESP, it is usually good to support post-secondary education savings for the beneficiaries. For CRG grant will be matched part of your contribution. So that is the 20% of whatever you contribute of $2,500, which will give you $500 back from government. Contribution limit is usually $50,000 lifetime per beneficiary. So and investment growth is tax deferred. So that is whatever growth you have in that investment, you don't pay taxes on it until you start withdrawing. Educational withdrawals are usually taxed in the hand of the beneficiary, not the donor. So that means if you open it, you don't get taxed on it when you start withdrawing, but it gets taxed in the hand of your child or whoever is the beneficiary. When you're opening the person you're opening it for must be blood related to you. Next slide, please. For RDSP, it is designed for Canadians eligible for disability tax credit. That is, if you're claiming disability tax credit on your tax return, you're eligible to open that. So you have to be eligible, you have to have claimed that in your taxes before any financial institution would open that for you. Government grants and bonds can significantly, because when you contribute, the grants and the bonds you get from government, so they get, that is what boosts your income. Lifetime contribution limit is 200. Contribution allowed until the end of the year beneficiaries turn 29. Withdrawal may be required repayment of recent government grants and bonds. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So now I just want to know if any one of you have any questions regarding this, regarding everything that I've said.
Thank you for your presentation. That was a wonderful one. My question is on first home savings account.
Yeah.
I'm meant to understand that the withdrawal must be towards buying a house.
Yes.
But if for a situation where that is the only place you have saved some funds, and there is a critical need for you to access funds, maybe for health reason or something very serious that you needed funds to resolve. Are there situations where the bank can allow you, or you can make a case to access that fund?
So most mistake most people make is they believe the bank has an override over the decision, but unfortunately, no. It's not the bank that is making the decision, it's the regulation from the government that determines whatever the bank does. Okay, so if you want to withdraw it, you would be allowed to withdraw it, but whatever you withdraw would be added to your income and you get taxed on that.
Okay, so you're allowed to withdraw outside?
Yes. If you want to withdraw it, the bank won't hold you, but you just have to remember whatever you take out will be added to your income and you get taxed on that.
I was just wondering, these don't apply when you first come to Canada. Do you have to be in the country for a minimum amount of years, and you have to have a certain level of like PR or residency for these to apply to you, okay, or how do you get these?
So when you are, it's usually advisable for you to have had your permanent residence before you open this account. That is because if you've not had your permanent residence and you have to leave Canada, if you don't have for example, your work permit or your study permit expires and you want to take them out, you'd have to, you may be restricted from you would take it out, but with RRSP, there is something we call withholding tax. So the government doesn't care if you want to take it out, you would take it out, but the withholding tax on your RRSP, for example, starts from 10% up to the maximum tax bracket. So that is why it is always advisable for you to have had your permanent residence before you open any of this account. But for the TFSA, you can open that even if you've not had your permanent residence, because when you take it out, there is no restriction for you. You can take everything out with no restriction, but it's just that you won't have much benefit for it because your contribution limit starts from when you enter Canada. For example, if you enter Canada this year, your contribution room for TFSA starts this year and it going forward. So, thank you.
tougher question for TFSAs, because I've only been allowed to return to work for the last 3 months, and in that time I've started my own business outside of working full time. So with the way I've got it set up is all the clients get put into one TFSA account, but what I want to know, is there a way for me to use some of that budget on projects, but have a cap on it that will remain savings and earn the interest on it? So say, for example, a project is $1,500 and I have $10,000 in there. Is there a way for me to still use that $1,500 in that account and leave the $10,000 to collect the savings?
Okay, so if I get your question right, so if you have $10,000 in your account and your $10,000 has an interest of about $1,500.
Yeah, I don't want to use it.
Yes, if you want to use it, you can use it.
Okay, because you're still using that, pulling the $1,500 out of the same account.
Yeah, so if you pull it out, it doesn't affect anything because you're just taking money. So whatever you take out, for example, if you take the $1,500 out, if you don't have any other contribution room, you can't contribute that $1,500 back. You have to wait till the next year for that $1,500 to be added for your contribution room. But if you still have contribution room, you can contribute it back. But you're allowed to withdraw from your TFSA at any time with no taxes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. So I've got a couple of questions.
Yeah.
I know you said these are tax deductible, vehicles.
Not, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So it gives you benefits, tax benefits.
Yes.
That's what I mean. So two things. So since it's giving tax benefits, so is there an assumption that you must be filing your tax for you to, be able to operate any of these accounts? That's my first question.
Yeah.
Just for clarity. I also know that on TFSA, you mentioned that the maximum limit is 109,000.
Yes.
Is it 109,000 for everybody, or it starts from when you came into the country?
Yes. So it's sorry. Are you done with the question?
No. So that's the second one.
Yeah.
Then the third one is, you also mentioned that, yes, it gives you the tax benefits. Then you say something about returns. Are the returns automatic? What are those opportunities that, okay, I put my money in TFSA? It's not just, where are the opportunities for you to get returns?
Okay.
Because I'm sure they are just accounts. You need to take some other actions for you to get returns on those.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Your first question, so TFSA started in 2009. So if you add all those contribution room from 2009 till today, is 109,000. But your contribution room, if you've been in Canada from then up to now, that would most likely be your room. But if you've not been in Canada from 2009, so your contribution starts when you entered Canada. So to have a concise amount of your contribution room, it is usually advisable to log into CRA website and see your actual contribution room. Does that make sense? Does that answer your first question? Okay. Yes. 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 From last year plus this year. Yes. So that answers the second question. The third question, so there are different. So TFSA are just account to shield your investment from taxes. There are opportunities for you to grow those investments. So for you to grow those investments, you have different options. Some options are GICs, ETFs, mutual funds, and stocks. So I can't speak about stocks, but stocks is just that you're buying from one company. So ETF GIC is just like, if you're from Nigeria, it's just like fixed, what do we call it in Nigeria? I forgot. Fixed deposit account. So GICs has different options. You can have a cashable GIC, which is not advisable for this registered investment. You can have non-redeemable GICs. The non-redeemable GICs ranges from 1 to 5 years. You can, the non-redeemable GIC, when you lock your money in, they are usually locked in for that time. You can't take them out. If you want to take them out, you get penalized by the bank. So with ETF and mutual fund are kind of similar, but the difference between them is just how they are being managed. With mutual funds, they are regularly being managed, but with ETFs, it's usually just once in a while. So the difference between mutual fund, ETF, and stock. So with stocks, you're just buying one company, okay? With mutual funds and ETF, you are buying a bunch of companies. In one mutual fund, you can have up to 100 companies, and that is what we call diversification. So from that 100 companies, so there is an element of risk in mutual fund and ETFs. So with mutual funds and ETF, they would, depending on the amount of risk you're willing to take. So we have from very conservative, balanced, very aggressive, and very aggressive. So within those weights, so your funds is going to be divided into two, which is fixed income and equity. The fixed income as something guaranteed. That is how you manage the risk in your investment. So if you're in a kind of conservative investment, so you might have a little bit, the higher, the portion of your fixed income, which are kind of bonds, GICs, mortgages, something that are kind of less risky. So the amount you have in your fixed income would be kind of higher, and the amount you have in your equity will be lower. If you're going for something aggressive, the amount in your equity will be higher, and the amount you have in your fixed income will be lower. So that is how they manage the risk. So that is how they manage the risk. And with mutual fund, just like I've said, you buy a bunch of companies. It's just kind of it's very rare for you to lose all your money, but there's what we call volatility, which you will see jumping up and down. So when you're doing those kind of, just like I've said, when you're doing all this registered investment, they are usually good for long term. So anything from 5 years and above. If you're doing, so they are not something you want to do for emergency fund. Oh, I want to buy something tomorrow. Like this investment, and they are usually good for a long time, anything from 5 years and above. So that is when you see the return. But I know as Nigerians, we are always looking for something very fast. But those investment are not something good, something for short time. Yes, it's usually recommended for you to file your taxes every year in Canada, but if you don't file your taxes, you deal with the CRA you get the penalties from CRA. But if you don't file your taxes, you can still contribute into them, but you don't know how much your contribution room is going to be for, most especially for RRSP. So because RRSP is usually determined by your income. So. But for TFSA, you don't need to file your taxes. But if you go above your contribution room, you would usually receive notice from CRA that you've over-contributed, that you need to withdraw what you've over-contributed, and you pay the penalties. Okay. I would require feedback from you guys if you have any feedback for me, and open to that also. Thank you.
Praise God. That was a lot of information. Please let's appreciate him one more time. That was a lot of information. So I think the slides will be dropped in the group, the men's group. If you're not in the men's group, please join the men's WhatsApp group. It will be dropped there, and you can go through it at your spare time. Sir? Oh, it's a men conference, so. All right. Yes, we sent to the female group. I was just joking, sorry. We'll be presenting our next session on entrepreneurship. My HOD will be my HOD will be anchoring that. Okay. Brother Ola, please let's appreciate him.
All right. Thank you. Thank you to the men's leadership for, giving me this opportunity to speak to everybody here today. So first and foremost, I just want to thank God for giving me the privilege to be able to talk about this today, about entrepreneurship, and I want to give him back the glory for, getting me to where I am right now in this entrepreneurship journey. Quick one before we start. I'm not really great at public speaking. I'm trying to improve, so please bear with me as whatever I do, give me feedback at the end also, but I'm trying to overcome that fear, so this is a good opportunity for me. Thank you. So, I'm going to be talking about entrepreneurship from my own personal experience. Entrepreneurship is very broad. Everybody has, different paths to entrepreneurship. But I'll be using this opportunity to talk about my own lived experiences, what I've learned, the mistakes we've made, the opportunities and things that which people have told me about before starting. So I want you to be able to learn from this in regards to your own field, because my entrepreneurship background is in childcare industry, but I believe things can be relatable to other industries as well. So please try and apply this to your own field, depending on which line of business you are thinking about. So I don't have all the complete formula, like I said. Next slide, please. I don't have all the complete formula, like I said, but I'll be sharing. I can't even see very well. Okay. Yeah, I'll be sharing with you my own journey, what has taught me, blah blah blah. Okay, next slide, please. So I think I mentioned this already. My principles are just in the childcare industry, right? But you can be in technology, you can be in the trades industry, you can be in multiple other industry. But I think the values will still apply, right? You still have to have an opportunity. You still have to have finances to fund that business. You still have to talk to hire staff and all, right? So there may be so many things that you can apply to your different industry that you have. And talking about the theme of this event, next slide, please. The theme is, it was from, I think it was Luke 19:13, yeah. It's all about, what I got from that and how I relate it to entrepreneurship is all about God has given everybody something. And what is in your hand is different from what is in another person's hand. But it's not really about what is in your hand, it's about how you use that thing. So my charge as part of this, my entrepreneurship thought, is also to motivate everybody that you have something with you. You just have to figure out how do you use it. And yes, and what in your hand may not actually start as your own idea. If you can go to the next slide. So people think entrepreneurship is always like, the common way of entrepreneurship is always like, you have this founder, you have this creative and great idea, and you're the one that brought it up, and it's, you run with it. But it's not always the same it's not always the case for everybody. For example, for me, the business actually came to us, right? We were approached by the opportunity, and when we got this opportunity, we had to figure out, okay, does it work for us? Is this what we actually want? We had to look at the market also. We had to look at the people that also brought the opportunity. So what I'm trying to say is that entrepreneurship does not always mean you starting the idea. You can also be a part of the puzzle. It's just a big puzzle and you're trying to bring things together, right? You can be the part of the people that maybe you are talented in seeing opportunities where others don't see. Maybe you are good in critical thinking, seeing seeing where there are gaps. That can be your own input to entrepreneurship. Your own can be maybe you have the capital, or you bring the capacity that is needed. That can also be your input. Some other people are very good in sharpening an idea, making it relatable to the end users. That can also be your own input to entrepreneurship, right? Some other people are very good at executing things. They are very good at, getting operations. They are very detailed. That can be your own entrance. So you have to just figure out what do you have that you can use to support and also fit that overall puzzle. I add an analogy here, like, if you are trying to create a movie, right, you're going to start with a script, but you can't just use a script to provide a movie, right? You need the actors, you need the producer, you need all those things. So everybody still fits into that same goal. So you just have to figure out, where do I plot myself and how do I plot myself in it? So recognizing an opportunity matters, right? You found this opportunity, it's very good, but if you don't act, nothing's going to happen, right? So if we can go to the next slide. So, oh yeah, perfect. When we approach with this opportunity, we're really impressed at the level of action the other families which became our partners had already gotten. But by that time, they already got the name, they registered the name, they've already started talking with architects for drawings and things like that. The reason why I say that is because we've been approached so many times and people just have ideas, but it's always on paper, right? Nobody has taken any concrete steps. So everybody just, I have this idea, yeah, that's good, do, talk, and that's the end. Nothing goes forward again, right? But in this case, some actions have been taken, and I think that is very important also, right? Starting with actions. Like you don't need to know the end. You don't need to know exactly what the next step will look like, right? But you need to just take that first step, and those are the things that when opportunity comes, you are ready. So for us, we have to figure out the drawings. We have to figure out licensing. There's so many regulations. We have to figure out staffing. We have to figure out where we're going to get finances from, financial challenges. We have to figure out operations. So many things, but we have to just start from one step, right? That when you're building a house, you don't just go and bring your furniture in immediately. You start from the foundation, you get the framing, the roof, so everything takes one step at a time. But if you don't take that first step, then you've already failed, basically. So, but when I mean take the first step, next slide, please. When I mean take the first step, there are two very extreme cases of taking the first step. Slide 7, please. Slide 7. When I mean taking the back. Yes, thank you. So when I mean taking the next step, there are two extremes. Some people can take step without thinking, right? Just take, I'm quitting my job tomorrow, boom, I'm going to go all in, right? Whereas the other extreme also is that some people can say, well, I need to plan a lot before I take this next step. So they are paralyzed, they think, right? Those are next steps also, but I think we have to find the right balance. We have to aim for a calculated next step. You have to have a calculated risk. So I take this analogy of like when you're driving in the Ford, like when everything is white and you can't really see. You can't say, well, you know what, I'm going to just drive in and ram myself in the car and just speed, right? You can't do that. Also, you don't want to just park the car and wait and say, well, I'm not going to move forward. So that's kind of the same thing. What you need to do is drive slowly, use what you see to determine where to move next. So that's the same concept in this. What I'm trying to say here is, when you're going to take this step, you have to take calculated risk. You have to make sure that you are using what you know to move forward. As long as you are moving forward, I think that is you are going to be going gradually to the end of the journey. So now, once you've decided, you need to move forward. Now, the next question will be, do you have the right people and the resources? to get the job done, right? Because now you can't do everything alone. You need people and you need resources. When you're thinking about an idea, you have to think about what, apart from me, what else needs to be true for that idea to be successful. Think about the customers, think about the operations. Operation means like, the day-to-day life of the business. Think about the idea. Is the idea actually proven? Is there markets for it? Think about where will you get capital? Think about the systems that you are going to use, the IT, the technology, right? Think about every other thing apart from just what you know, because there's a long journey between where you are and where you need to be. And for us, the way we did the thing that was missing from us, or the thing that we thought really helped us, is the partnership. Next slide, please. Media team. Thank you. Partnership, right? I know there are pros and cons to partnership, but I want to really talk a little bit about partnership here, because it's my entrepreneurship journey followed. There are strengths to partnership because, when we were first approached, the idea was going to be, yes, financial support, but it turned out to be more than that. It's more about mental support also. It's more about carrying the operational burden, carrying the mental load, because it's really, really difficult handling a business alone. If you have a support, if you have partners, you really go far. Sometimes we are on the call 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. just thinking, talking about things, dissecting things, talking about the issues that happen, talking about strategies to move forward, right? I always imagine if it was only just us, how would we do it? It would be possible, but it would be way tougher, right? So, but yes, partnership comes with, challenges of everybody has to have the same values, right? Now, there's going to be conflicts for sure, but at the end of the day, a right partner is where conflict arises but does not disturb the relationship and the business, whereby you can able to figure out resolution to things. Everybody is trained differently, everybody grew up differently, everybody will have different ideas. But I think the pros of having partnership with good people that are like-minded outweighs the cons, which is like, different ideas, different characters. So partnership, good partner, we don't always agree. I don't think you need to agree all the time. We just need to make sure the business takes priority, right? Things for the positive, do things to, for the business positive, blah, 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 something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yes, where am I next? All right, next slide. Yes, I want to talk briefly about business plan. I know people do business plan, and I've seen business plans, and it's always very rosy and beautiful and just one way, right? And it's nice. But that's not the reality. The reality, you always have to put the negative there because you don't know. You always have to account for everything. You always have to think about worst case scenarios. Think about what if. What if? Next slide. What if your ramp, like that is, what if you anticipated, by year one, I'll have 10 customers, 100 customers, for example. In your business plan, you have to put it, what if there's only 10 customers for year one? What if there's even only one? Right? Does that really, really affected us? Because there are projections you make in business plans, you make like, yes, we're going to have so revenue, so children year one, and it's going to be just grow from there. But then reality sets in, and something that you did not look at, something you did not see just comes in, and you're like, and then that becomes the money problem. Like, did you account for that? Well, we'll talk about the money a little bit while. So, like I said, you have to ask the what if this does not work question. Because, all these things take a toll on even your family, right? So, what if this does not happen? What if all my investment disappear? You need to consider that in the business plan also. And the banks will also require that, right? I'm sure our financial planner can talk about that as well, right? The bank will say, well, this is the beautiful picture you've laid out to me in your business plan, but, have you considered 10%, 20% of this? Have you considered 30% of this? Really, really key. So if you want, what I'm trying to say is don't just budget for the rosy days, budget for when things are not doing well, especially at the beginning part also. And so there's an example I wanted to actually give. I actually forgot about that, so it's good that I remembered. So a practical example that happened during the early time of our business, we had on cash flow, so we had to pay payroll, and then payroll came 30,000, and our HR company, our HR software processed the payroll from our system, but we did not have the cash in the bank. But the bank honored the payment, and it went through. Then I got a call from my banker immediately. I said, "Oh, Ola, what's up? Your account is in negative. What's going on?" And meanwhile, this is the third time that this has happened. Because parents will pay and then we'll go back and to support the business, and then we'll pay it back. But the banker said, "Well, this is the third time now. You know what? We can't do this anymore. You need to make sure you fund your account by 3 p.m. If not, the payment will be not honored." And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Payroll, staff needs to get paid. They have mortgages. They have so many things, right? It was really critical. Like at that point in time, we had to run eta, figure out how to close that gap, right? And it's very key because we did not anticipate that. We anticipated at year one, so many things will be happening. We'll have so much cash flow, which will cover that, right? So we had to find money from somewhere else. Thankfully, we raised the fund to support the bank deadline, and the payroll was able to go through. But that's kind of situation where you have to think about also like year one, especially year one, year two, during that stability years, do I have enough funds to cover myself for those years? All right, moving to the next slide. I think I'm still 15 minutes. Okay, so yes, this is also very important. You can delegate work, but you cannot delegate accountability. What I'm trying to say here is, I know we trust professionals, like I give you a contract and I trust you to do the job. And I sign a contract with you and I say, okay, you do the job, and that's all. But I've learned that you need to follow up, even micromanage all these people, because at the end of the day, it's your business, right? You have a contractor. You don't just tell them they're going to do the job and you're hands off. No, you need to follow up. You need weekly meetings. You need daily check-ins. You need emails. No matter what the person is, even if the person is the best contractor in the whole world, right? You still need to follow up, because at the end of the day, if anything goes wrong, it's you that's going to pay that extra fee. If your project gets delayed, it's you. If the contractor does work that is not up to par, it's you. It's not only contractors, accountants, you hire anybody you're hiring, right? You need to make sure that don't just believe that professionals are going to do their job well. You need to follow up and make sure you take accountability for whatever they are doing. You can skip the next slide. Next slide, you can just skip that. Yeah, let's go to slide 15, please. Slide 15. Lesson 6, people. Yeah. So for us, for entrepreneurship in general, I think if everybody focuses on I know people always want to focus on the idea. You want to focus on the product. Maybe, for example, you want to start building a toy or whatever it is. People focus on that, but I think where people should focus also more is the staffing, right? Because the staffs are the one, or the people in the store. Like maybe you have a storefront, for example, or you want to create a plumbing business and you have plumbers, right? Like those are your staff. Focusing on the staff is really important. Why? Because if you treat them really well, then they treat the object of your business well, which therefore goes to your customer. So in my own scenario, right, we hire a lot of educators, right? We make sure that our educators are happy all the time, which is very difficult to do, to be honest. Anyways, but we make sure that we treat them really well. Because we come from professional settings whereby we like all the benefits from the professional lifestyle that we get, like professional work, like my 9 to 5, all those kind of benefits from corporate world, I will call it benefit from corporate world. We actually introduce it into the daycare for the staff, also. Why? To just make them happy. We give them 90 minutes, every month for anything they want to do. We give them good benefits. We make sure sometimes we do some massage. We bring a truck, a car to come and do their massage, paint their nails, whatever, right? We try to make them just feel good. Why? Because we realize that when they are happy, they take care of the children better. And when they take care of the children well, the children also, the parent sees that and the parent is happy. And when the parent is happy, guess what? They stay and retention grows. So anyways, I'm just focusing on that taking care of the staff or the people that actually enable your business goes a long way in ensuring that stability for your business. And yes, I'm talking about values. Values are easy and they cost nothing, but they are sometimes very difficult to implement. So something happened whereby we said, okay, we are opening a data, but how do we bring our Christian values inside? And it's a very finicky area. It's a very gray area where people are very careful to tread on. But I think the approach we should take is that if you don't tell people your value, if you do, people are always shy of saying, I'm a Christian, or in terms of in the business, because of what the customers will feel like. What if, right? What if these people say, oh, wow, you're a Christian now, I'm not coming to your center, right? And that's the fear people also have. So what happened is we put in some Christian language into our handbook for parents to read. We're a Christian daycare. We are not going to be celebrating Halloween. We are not going to be celebrating any of these things that is not aligned to Christian values. But we make it look like, your child is okay to do anything you want to do. You can bring your child dressed as anything. But the center itself is not going to decorate. It's not going to acknowledge the whole event. We're not going to decorate anything. So that's how we wrote it then. But we hired the staff, and the staff was like, what's the difference? What is the relationship between Christianity and the daycare? Why is this in there, right? And we were challenged because of that. And we went back, we thought about it, and we said, we're going to keep it. Let's see what happens. And up to today, no one has actually said anything about that. It is in there, it's in our values, it's in there, and we've never been challenged. So what is the cost of actually putting it there? There's no cost for us, right? We have different people from different background. We have, different value people in the daycare. That does not matter, right? We are open, but we still have our own values, right? Anyways, I'm just trying to say that what am I trying to say? Yes, I think you all get the pictures anyway, yeah. Okay, moving on. I think I've already mentioned all these things already. Christian values, the quality of your word, honesty, treat people well, respect, keeping to your word. These are all Christian values that I think is applicable to any entrepreneurial journey that you are in on. And mistakes are going to be made. One of the key things we did was to make sure we asked around when we wanted to start. We asked people, so people that have done the similar business in the past, or currently. What are the challenges in this industry? It actually really helped us. There was one time we were about to hire a manager, the key person at the beginning. But then thankfully we asked around and we got some reports. We already actually almost gave them the offer. It was so close, very, very close. And then when we asked around, that information that we got really, really helped us and saved us. We had to pull out. And I was just imagine, if we had not asked around, if we had not probed, because the chartered industry is very small and you can talk to people about it. But I don't know about the industry, I don't know big in also. But the point is, whichever industry you're in, make sure you talk to people that are in that same industry to get some insight, to get some things that you might not know, things that you might not see, that can really help you. I think that's really key and kind of helped me also in my journey. It's good to learn from people's mistakes, right? So try to learn from them as much as possible. Yeah, same thing. Ask better questions. Yes, growth. I want to talk about growth now. Scalability. Finding a business that scales. I think, to me, scalability is very important. Your idea should be able to scale, should be able to think big. When we're talking about occupy, we need to occupy this land. And occupying this land means you need to be able to grow your business. And I really, really believe in growth. But you need to grow with sense and you need to grow carefully, right? Because if like you're building a house, right? If the foundation is not secured, whatever no matter how many high-rise building you build into it, right? It can fumble. So my advice for growth, my advice for scalability is start first. Make sure that one that you have, or that maybe one shop you want to build, one shop you want to open, make sure that shop is fully operational, can run itself. Make sure you understand the whole end-to-end flow before you think about moving forward. We've gotten so many approaches of, let us, developers will come, we are open for you, but we've said, we want to first finalize where we are first. We want to first make sure that we are okay, even financially also, right? Now we're looking at we're in the process of, opening another one, but before we get there, we made sure that we owned the one that we had. We made sure we understood it end to end before, thinking of growing. Growth is really good, but just make sure we grow with sense, basically. And to summarize everything I've said, I think we need to, obviously, when we get any idea, pray about it, seek God, get wisdom, understand exactly how to do it. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So basically you have to pray, you have to plan, then take next step, and there will always be challenges. Make sure that those challenges you overcome them, and make sure that you take them step by step. Sometimes you don't know the future, but it's funny enough, when you start moving forward, the road becomes clearer a little bit, and then you'll be able to move. But if you don't take that first step, you're never going to get to the end. And thankfully, Street has grown now. We are in a 9,000 square foot building. We have our capacity is 130 students, and we are right now trying to open the net center also, and it's been a great journey. Entrepreneurship is beautiful. It's good when it's done right. And thank you for that slide, because I did not talk about that. Entrepreneurship is good, honestly, it's nice, but at the beginning it's very difficult, and it's possible it's not difficult for you. It's very possible. But in my own journey, there were a lot of challenges at the beginning, which we, because of the partnership, everybody brought different things to the table, we were able to overcome. Somebody was very great at, interior decorating. Somebody was great technology-wise. Somebody was great being meticulous, being a deadline, chasing us down for things. So everybody kind of brought multiple things to the table, which really, really helped us. Linking all this story back to the theme of this main conference, exactly is what is in your hand. And not everybody here is going to open a company, to be honest. Not everybody here is going to be an entrepreneur. I just want to say that straight also. But everybody here has something that God has given you in your hand. It can be your skill, it can be your resources, your money, it can be your connections. You have something. So the question is not what do you have, is what are you doing with what you have? No matter what you have, God has given you something. You need to use it and make sure that it is being productive, right? Use it and, help other people and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so the question is, what is in your hand? What has God placed in my hands? What real problem can I solve? What is my next responsible step to take? Will we challenge and test this idea? At the end of the day, please, just want to make sure everybody do not bury what God has given to you. Pray about it, plan, start responsibly, keep moving faithfully. Because when the Master returns, may he find us all occupied. Thank you. Questions? Hopefully none. Okay.
Thanks for the presentation. So my question is going to be, I understand everyone has ideas, and I believe the most fear is facing the uncertainty. So I understand when I was in Nigeria, I used to own a clothing store. So, and then I started because I know there is a fallback for me, right? So I was living at home. I had an opportunity to have a store, a free store, which I started with, but thankfully I was able to grow it. Then I knew I had a fallback. In this kind of situation here, you're here and you're thinking, oh, if I fail, there is no fallback for me. I have to start from grade one. So my question to you is going to be, how are you able to, I know you said you have a partner, so which kind of helped you in the case that you don't have a partner, but you're looking at, how are you able, like, let me even ask you, how are you able to overcome that fear? So what gives you the motivation? How were you able to overcome that fear? And even though you have a partner, I believe you still have a reason, an area of doubt in you. So how are you able to overcome you? What keeps you motivated to go forward?
Okay, to go forward? Thank you. I think the question is that the first step to make, right? How do you make that first step when you know that failure is possible? When you know that you can fail, when you know that there are real life consequences to the action you're about to take, and you want to start this journey and you know it's not certain, right? Like what pushes you to move forward? I think that's what you're trying to ask. So I think, and that's why I mentioned in the beginning about everybody has a slice in the pie. I think if you are thinking about entrepreneurship, you first need to understand where you are in your life, first of all, right? I don't always advise people to go into entrepreneurship when they don't have a 9 to 5 already. Like when they don't have a source of income. That's my own principle, but everybody is different, right? Some people can say, well, I'm just going to wing it. So, but I always advise, like, entrepreneurship you should not go into entrepreneurship that this money I'm making right now is the money that I need to make my mortgage. And if I don't make that, my mortgage is over. If you do that, you start getting sloppy and make mistakes. You start being so desperate. You start being so, it becomes less of even the journey or the product that you're serving. And you have to love what you are doing. At that point, you're not loving what you're doing. You're just trying to plug all those things together, right? So my advice at the end of the day is you have to be first stable first before you actually take that first step. You need to first, and that first step can also be in you doing it. Level up your career, get some certificates, get some bigger jobs that pays well, right? And be able to be okay financially to a step where, okay, now I can explore something. Now I have enough savings. It can be money that you're bringing to the table. What you can do now, start saving. It can be that, okay, you know what, I need to earn more money. What you can do now, earn more money. It's not always all about saying, you know what, I'm going to go cold turkey, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow, and I'm going to go straight and start. I think we need to first, to increase your chances of success. Does not mean you cannot be successful. To increase your chances of success, if you have a cushion, a 9 to 5, something or something that can sustain you while you then try that entrepreneurship, I think it increases your chance of success, and it helps you make that choice boldly and say, you know what, I will start small and build up, right? I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I would advise. Okay. No, you already mentioned that I did not have the fear, right? Because we had partners. So we had partners and we were able to spread things around. And for us, like we add back in already. I still have my full-time job, 9 to 5. So my wife works, and my partners also, they still have their full-time job, they work. So it's the fear, when we started the business, it was not really about, oh, we need to make sure that if this business fail, well, we are very committed. We had a lot of investment in it. So yes, for sure, we want to make sure the business does not fail. But it did not come from the fact that that was our only income at that point or source, right? We were comfortable first, then we decided, okay, how can we increase where we are, right? And basically that was that one.
Okay. Sorry, my question. So it's a personal one for you. So did you always envision yourself as an entrepreneur? And there's a follow. Well, your response will determine.
Oh yeah,
follow on.
Totally. Back from high school and university, back in Nigeria, I've always done business. I'm always the kind of guy that I already knew that. Yeah, I'm very creative. My hand must be dirty. I need to do things. I need to create things. I've always had that drive. But I've never said that I will never work for anybody. And people do that, and I always challenge them. Like some people, I get people and say, you know what, I will never work for anybody. I am going to have my own business. I'm like, yes, you are, but guess what? If you don't even have the experience working for people, how would you create your own business, and what do you think your business will look like? So my train of thought has always been, yes, I am definitely going to be an entrepreneur. I know the idea will be there in the future, but guess what? I need to gather as much as I can get. So I did not let that one say that from university I just go straight to business. No, I made sure I entered into the industry, and now from my daycare, like all the things I've learned, and I'm even currently learning, we're implementing it into our childcare system. And it is bringing a separate, different look for people there, because in the childcare industry, most people just do it from like their home and things like that. But we brought in corporate structure, we brought in professional structure. So it is really making us kind of stand out. So anyways, long story short, yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. You just landed on the comment I was going to make, that at times we're working. Some of us are not entrepreneurs, we're working, but we need to begin to have the mindset that wherever we're working now or whatever we're doing is a practice ground for when we may eventually become entrepreneurs, because we tend to become sloppy in what we're doing, thinking that when we become entrepreneurs, we'll do ours with excellence. It doesn't work that way. What you don't do now in someone else's business, you will not be able to practice in your own business. So that was the encouragement I wanted to give, but you spoke to it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's quite right. Thank you.
So stepping into an industry that knows nothing about, but actually you think that you might be able to make it, right? What are the risks, and how could you be productive when it comes to those risks that you might have to take?
So I think the question is, if you have an idea in an industry that you don't have much knowledge about, how do you approach that? What are the things you do? Yeah, that's a good question. And you should never enter a business that you don't know anything about. Straight up. Because, never enter a business you have no idea about. So your next step would be, I need to have an idea about this business. Your next step would be, I need to do the research. I need to interview 100 people in that business field. I have a close family member that did the same thing, that just entered the business without knowing anything, just because they had the funds, they had the money, and one random guy just came and told him, printing business is the best business, don't worry, I have skills and everything. And the guy pumped so much money in it, and he himself cannot even operate the machine, right? And now the guy that he employed, that guy disappeared, and what was left with starts, left with things, does not even know how to operate it, does not know anything, right? I think personally, don't enter a business you don't have full, not even partial, like full idea of the in and out of it. So the first job is to research, talk to people. You need to test the market. Is the idea even valid? Is it even true? Is it possible? So many things, but I think the beginning is just to do the research before you enter. And then once you do the research, you'll be able to figure out what should be that next responsible step to take. Yeah.
So it's just to add to what you said earlier, so that it's good to work for someone before you jump into be an entrepreneur. So I also believe that is very imperative, because you don't know what river you're going to face when you start, but when you work for someone, it may be your temperament that may be tested. And when you grow that is what is going to be helpful to you when you are an entrepreneur. You grow yourself first, you get yourself grounded before start thinking about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's quite right. Even there are some CEOs that make more money than entrepreneurs. So I don't still think everybody has to be an entrepreneur as well also, right? Like corporate world also is a great source of income for some people, but not everybody.
I know that in starting a business or trying to be an entrepreneur, one of the biggest challenges is funding.
Yes.
Where we came from, most of us in Nigeria, people have great ideas, business plans, but the funding to execute it is always a challenge. Now we're in an environment which seems structured in such a way that you can get support, but even at those challenges are still there. We have a banker here, you're an entrepreneur. So we have two people that can give us an insight how to overcome this kind of challenge. You are very lucky you had a partner that shared the same vision, objective, and you were able to collaborate. We have younger people that have great ideas here in Canada, but how can they get funding? Do we have any support from the bank? You might not have someone that shares that dream or is ready or willing to partner with you and invest in your idea. I don't know if you have an answer to this because you were able to partner with someone, but for people that don't have that opportunity, what can be the advice? This question is not only for you, but also to our banker friend here. You might be, I don't know your area in banking, maybe you're the financial advisor, you might not know much of business banking, but how does institutions, either banking or do we have some private investors that are willing to look at your business plan and have that conviction that I think you have a good plan and I can take some level of risk and invest?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's all about funding. And yes, you're right. Even with partnership, it does not matter. You still have to go through that process. So I can speak a little bit about that. In Canada, yes, there's something called CSBA, Canadian Small Business Loan, right? So that approves you for 500,000. It is provided by the bank, and that's part of the loans that we got. So you can get 500,000 as long as your business plan is solid and you can prove that you've done your due diligence. The bank will facilitate that. It comes directly from the federal government. Then on top of that, the bank can then still give you some funds also in addition to that. Mostly what the banks will say is you need to have 25% of what you want to do, so they can give you 75%. So you do your analysis, you do your market planning, you do your projections, you talk to contractors, how much is it going to cost, blah, blah, blah. And you start saving, right? So my advice would be just save, so that when the opportunity comes, you're ready for that 25%. And there's also private lenders that provide lending but at a higher interest rate than the bank, which you can also explore. And yeah, so there are opportunities. The bank will support you. You can start with the small Canadian business loan that the bank provides, and you can also get that 25%. Some banks ask for 30%, 25-30% of the capital first, and then they can fund you the remaining amount. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation. My first question, that's been and that has been that. My second question is...
Sorry, I didn't get the first question.
No, you just answered my first question. I wanted to ask the same thing, but, the earlier speaker just presented a question. So my other question is with respect to conflict of interest. We talked about the fact that, being an entrepreneur and having a 9 to 5 is something that's encouraged. I just wanted to share your experience of how you balance those two interests, because you're working 9 to 5 and you're also managing a business that is technically 9 to 5. It's like you're doing 2 jobs within the same time frame. So can you please speak to your experience on how you manage those 2 things? What are the perceptions of your employer, maybe whether or not he or she is aware that you have that running?
You want to trust me, this man. Well, those are very good questions. Thank you for that. Okay, so something I did not disclose is that my wife is on maternity leave, right? So she is not working. She's on leave. And my partner also, fortunately, also is on maternity leave also, not working. One of them, the woman, not working and on leave. So my case is different. And so yeah, we do have that support because somebody is there. Although, we have a newborn baby, right, which is another full-time job on its own. But between the 2 partners that are on leave, they've been able to support the business to where it is till now. We started thinking about the future, like what happens in the future when they get back to the work. Who's going to stop their job? Because the more you start thinking of opening more centers, the more you start thinking of, managing 60 staffs more, like it's almost challenging. So yes, that is on our roadmap, but right now that is not our situation, but we are thinking about that.
So,
disclosure OTM.
Sorry, please. Okay.
How I balance myself. I'm still balancing myself till today. I don't even know how. Like everybody knows, like I'm like, right? There are so many things I've not done that they are still shouting about. So I don't have an answer to that because I've not yet balanced myself. But it's very difficult, and trying to be very productive at your 9 to 5 also, and trying to be productive at your other side gig also is difficult. But you just have to move on. When the money start coming in, it motivates you.
Okay, I just want to add something to what Abiola had asked, because I practice HR and I understand that. And I know a lot of organizations also, some good organizations are not embrace people being entrepreneurs, and there are rules in place for you to disclose if you have something like that. So it's not all the time that organizations are, against you doing it. But most well-structured organizations, just like he is running a business, you can have a staff who have an idea too. It's just for you to provide that platform for good to be able to disclose that they have its interest. And as long as it's not interfering, you go through the process, they ask you questions, as long as you're able to cross, and if there are conflicts, like you rightly said, if they see there is conflict, the conflict will come if you are doing something similar to your 9 to 5. So that's, and again, we are believers. We shouldn't be seen to be doing, one of the things which is a cardinal of our faith is love. Love is doing to others how you want them to do unto you. So normally conflict is you can't do the same business with your 9 to 5. If that is the case, it's not encouraged. But if you have a business idea, some good organizations have policies in place for you to disclose and go through the process and open up and let them know that, look here, I know your field, you don't have to be in the office. Then as long as deliver my work, they don't have any issue, because they also want to encourage you to do well, because they know you cannot always work for them. You're going to leave their company one day, and they want to create that bond. So I don't think that should be a restriction, but we should be open to take those opportunities. And if you find yourself where it's not encouraged, then like you said, pray about it and, let God guide you on this.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even mention I come from a cybersecurity background, and yeah, that is true. Even my employer is a financial institution. They actually provide funds for even staff that have businesses. So it is kind of encouraged also for staff in my organization to, at the end of the day, just giving the business more money. All right. Next question.
Just to add to that, actually, I basically do what you guys are talking about right now. Run 8-hour shift and then do my own business. But one thing that I've really, really considered in this past 3 months that I've been allowed back to work, and I'm actually going full steam at this, is what are you willing to give up in your life? Because we got to remember, everything takes time, and that's one thing that we're bound to. And everything also takes courage. Everything is also temporary. So for me right now, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. I'll do maybe an hour or two of just preparing what I'm going to do after my 8-hour shift at work and go conquer that. So how much are you willing to give up in your life when it comes to family time, personal time, which is the most important because it comes down to your mental health, your rest, and your physical health? I'm slowly deteriorating because I'm pushing too hard. I know I am, and I keep getting told to stop, take some days off, and stop going so hard because I'm giving up things that I shouldn't. I'm giving up personal time. I'm giving up sleep. I'm giving up food, like times when I'm supposed to be eating. So like, I don't want to repeat myself, but that's what it comes down to when you're trying to start that business. Is yes, you do have the courage, and yes, you probably do have an amazing idea, but it's also a matter of what are you willing to give up for now, until you grow what you have into something that you can go part-time.
Exactly. It's all about sacrifice, right? So for sure, there's going to be a balance. There's going to be give or take, right? Family, personal sacrifices, all should be considered. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
So I know that most businesses crumble because of bad financial management. So my question is, how do you manage the returns? Do you reinvest it back into the business and some in stocks? And also, do you work closely with a financial specialist? And for those that can't afford getting these resources that could help them, what would you advise them? How would you advise them to effectively manage the returns? Thank you.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about when your business is profitable and you have money, and how do you manage their funds? Okay, gotcha. Well, I don't want to disclose financial details up and now, but you need to be very strategic with your taxes. And so many businesses are not profitable for a reason, right? Because anyways, okay. Twitter just became profitable last year, well, not these years, but how is that possible? Anyway, so what I'm just trying to say is there are so many things to do before, there are so many, everybody's business is different, and you need a tailored advice for your business. There's no formula. There's nothing I can say that is applicable to everybody. I'll just say talk to a financial specialist about the situation. Think about tax strategies, not tax avoidance, tax strategy, something, tax planning. Think about that very well, and make sure that when your business is not profitable, that you're paying your fair due to the government, but also trying to see where we can put the remaining money to work. There's going to be some loans that you've taken in the past, there's going to be so many things your money can go into before you get to that profitability place of the government. Anyway, long story short, please tailored advice per business. And I don't know. I don't want to answer too much, but thank you.
Okay, Ola, thank you so much. And my own question is, you've been in this industry now for maybe 2-3 years and above. And the question is, what has been the greatest challenge you faced? And how were you guys able to overcome it?
Good. I actually had that. I don't know why I skipped that. But yes, greatest challenge. I would say I would say one of my advice. I would say legal review. I would say that read every contract you sign extensively. Contract with your contractor, like any contract. It could be with your financial accounting company, whatever it is. Read the fine print and have a lawyer read it. Like, it's just very important because you don't know what you are signing up for. So that's one. Sorry, what was the question again? Challenges. Okay, so many things were running in my mind. Challenges, yes, that, and also staffing. Oh boy, yes, staffing is challenges. Yeah. So what happened is, like I said, we're from the corporate world where everybody respects rules, and there's like there's unspoken rules, like we understand communication, we understand how to work. But when I entered this childcare industry, and it's just a different environment. Today, someone can just say, I'm quitting, and they just leave. Where I'm coming from, where we all know, like you give 2 weeks notice, some people can just say, no, I'm just coming. It's very casual. It's a very different mentality. So we have to shift our mentality a lot to be able to come down to where we need to be, and also see what we can bring from our professional life to it. One of the challenges was when we first started, we went all in on we wanted to be the same thing as like where we are coming from, do everything. We learned our mistakes a lot. Staff don't. We found our staff don't really care about some things that we care about from where we're coming from, and what they cared about is different from what we thought they would. So there was a gap for us, and we made some mistakes, but now, thank God, we've recovered. We already understand what they want now. We're now able to, treat them right. So staffing was a very big challenge for us because of the different industry. And also, like I mentioned, the finances aspect, the money aspect during that ramp-up time at the beginning, whereby we had to make sure that we had enough cash flow. Cash is king at the beginning. You need the money, not only money to build, not only money to plan, but money to operation, money to run through when you start, before that income, before the business stabilizes. Yeah, those are the challenges, I would say. All right. Thank you.
He said he's not a good public speaker, but I tend to disagree. Let's appreciate him. As I said earlier, people pay a lot for this kind of one-on-one consultation, so let's take it very seriously. I think it's time for lunch, and break, so we can network, discuss. You can get your partner from the discussion, and there are refreshments at the back. The restroom is downstairs. In the next 30 minutes, we'll come back and take the last session. Thank you very much. Please, there's lunch at the back, there's snacks, and there's coffee. So feel free. The next 15 minutes will be starting.
Praise God. I'd like to remind us that in 5 minutes we'll be restarting. So please kindly just, when you're done, you just take your seats. Praise the Lord. Praise Master Jesus. Please, I'd like to invite us to come back into the hall. If you can hear my voice, we will begin in another 2 minutes. Praise God. Praise the Lord. Please, if you are out there, could you just come in and take your seat so that we start as scheduled? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. I thank God for the sessions we've had so far. They've been very insightful and educative, and I'm happy to be here. And the questions that have been asked have also been very helpful. We are going to be going to the next session, which is also going to address, its focus is on a very important aspect of our lives. Someone saw me while I was trying to get myself some snacks, and he said, "Are you the guy that's going to be talking on immigration?" I said, "No." So you can imagine how important that is. Some persons are actually looking forward to this session, and I want us to actually listen to this speaker. So the next session is going to focus on immigration. It's going to run for 45 minutes. 30 minutes is going to make his presentation. I'll have 15 minutes to ask questions that bothers us. All right? So I would like to invite our brother to talk to us, Brother Eno Osubele, to talk to us, on immigration. So if you're here, brother, I saw him a while ago. Fine. But you can move to our house together as he finds the microphone. Thank you so much, sir.
Good afternoon, church. Good afternoon, church. Are we enjoying the program so far? Great. When I was told that I was going to be talking on immigration, I thought I had like 3 hours, okay? Because immigration is wide. And last week, I was sent a message, the program, that's only going to be for 30 minutes. And I was like, wow, okay. So I decided to choose a topic that I believe affects all of us. And that is how do we transit from temporary resident to permanent resident in Canada? And that's my topic today. So today we'll try to encourage newcomers and give them hope to know that we all pass through some pathway to get where we are today. We didn't just jump in from Nigeria, from temporary resident status and became permanent residents, no. So I hope my presentation will help somebody here today. So why does this topic matter? So we have many people in our churches who are students, workers, spouses, or family members of temporary residents. Like I said previously, we all came here as temporary residents. I remember when I came here in 2014, 2014, that was when I came to this church the first time, okay? And after a while, met Pastor Sam. We're all temporary residents. We passed through a journey. And Brother Ayodele also came. We met when they came initially. So it's a stage, it's a process that we all must pass. Is it stressful? Yes. Is it difficult? It depends on how you prepare yourself. What is a temporary resident? A temporary resident is somebody who comes here on a temporary visa, okay? It could be study permit, work visa, or visitor's visa. Now, what that means is that your status is temporary because there's a time limit to it. So if you're on a visitor's visa, they can give you 10 years, but you cannot stay for more than 6 months at one particular time. If you're a student, you are usually given a visa that will match the length of your studies. Although a lot of times some students don't finish within that time frame, So, but they can apply for extension. Then if you have a work permit as well, it's also based on, usually it's about 2 years, the first instance. And like I said, it doesn't automatically translate into becoming a permanent resident. There are steps that must be followed. Next slide, please. And what's a permanent resident? A permanent resident is somebody who can live indefinitely in Canada. Okay, you have every right of almost equal to citizenship, but you cannot vote. Okay, but you can live here. But if you still need to travel to some other countries, you need to apply for visitor's visa to those countries. Okay, so but you can stay here, you can work, pay your taxes, and I think you can renew your status every 5 years. Okay. But you have residency requirement for you to be able to renew your permanent residency status. So, but permanent residency will give you indefinite stay in Canada. So that's the major difference. So the big picture, there is no one pathway for everyone. So you cannot all went through different pathways, different doors, okay? So the question is, what door is open to you? Now, the first one I want to talk about is the express entry. Express entry is, for a very long time, when they started our express entry program in 2013, what? No, it was 2013. 2013, 2014, yeah. When they started it then, it was strange for a lot of people, but a lot of people also benefited from it, okay? Now, they've been running it for so many years now, and they have 3 main programs inside the express entry. Why they call it express entry? Previously, when you apply on paper, sometimes it takes 2 years, 2.5 years. So they now changed it and made it express entry so that you can, when you apply, they give you express processing. That's why they call it express entry. And I know for sure some people get their PRO within 6 months, some within 3 months, if you don't have any problems. Now, under this express entry stream, you have 3 classes. You have the Canadian Experience class, you have the Federal Skilled Worker Program, and you have the Federal Skilled Trades Program. Now, the Canadian Experience class, like the name says, is based on Canadian experience. If you have worked here in Canada on a temporary status with a work permit, with a valid work permit, you can claim points based on that, and you can apply under that particular stream. The Federal Skilled Worker Program is open to everybody. You don't have to be in Canada. You could be anywhere in the world. If you meet the requirements, you can apply, get the points, and you get picked, and you're asked to submit an application for permanent resident. Now, the Federal Skilled Trades Program, that is for trades, handwork, okay? So it's not just for everybody. You have to be, most of them you have to be in Canada, you have to have approved certification. For an electrician, for example, you have to have a Canadian certified certificate, okay, for you to be able to apply under these skilled trades. Amongst the 3, Federal Express, the FSW has the highest, for some years now, it's been attracting the highest points, okay? Now, Canadian Experience is a little bit lower. Federal Skilled Trade is far, far lower than all the others. So for many people already working in Canada, the CEC is the most important route that they can take. So the CEC is oftentimes the most clearest route for people who are already in Canada, okay? Common requirements include eligible, skilled Canadian work experience and meeting language requirements. And to break it down, so from study permit, you graduate, you get postgraduate work permit, you now get your skilled work experience, then you can now use that to apply for the Express Entry program. So for the federal skilled worker and the trades, Like I said, it's for people with qualified skill experience. It could be foreign work experience. Okay, so you get points for foreign work experience, you get points for Canadian work experience. Previously, it used to be easy for people to use their foreign work experience to apply for PR in Canada from outside of Canada. And if you have a spouse who also has some skills, this involves you taking the language test, assessing your credentials, okay? If your spouse also takes the English test, improves your chances, you add some points. If your spouse also assesses his or her credentials, it's also beneficial. You add some points as well. So for trades, they actually have specific trades, like BCPMP, for example. I know BCPMP has a program where they nominate skilled trades, but the caveat is you must have Canadian certified documentation, okay? Now, you have the provincial nominee programs. So many years ago, the federal government agreed with the provinces that, look, if you have need for certain categories of people and they meet your own requirements and you nominate them, we'll give them permanent residence based if they clear security and medical, okay? For so many years, provincial nominee program was very, very, very valuable. One of the best ones that I have used a lot of time for clients is the Saskatchewan nominee program, okay? But I think sometime last year, they paused it and they revamped it. They said they are now trying to focus more on people who are already in Canada. And I'm having a sense, too, that even the federal government is trying to focus because there are so many workers, so many students that are in Canada. So I think the federal government is trying to implement a plan where they will get more people who are already in Canada. And it makes sense in a way because they would have been here for at least 2-3 years. So issue of security, clearance, medical, and all that is resolved. It's cheaper for the government to actually take people from within Canada than to bring them from outside because you have to go do international background checks and all that. So, provincial nominee program was quite good. But was it last year or 2 years ago, the federal government reduced the quota by 50% for provincial nominees. So that affected the number of people that they can nominate. So that program right now, a lot of the provinces are rejigging their systems, and we hope that over time they will bring out a system that will also start benefiting people more. Why PMP matters? So PMP is a strong option when someone's express entry score is not high enough. If you get nominated, you automatically get 600 points. And in all the draws they've been doing for years, if it's for the PMP, once you get 600 points, the minimum that you need to have to maintain an express entry profile is about 180 points. So if you get 600 points, so you automatically get 780. That will guarantee you a draw. So that's why the PMP is very, very, very important. Okay? So PMP is good for people who are living in certain provinces, okay? I know the Better PMP at one time was quite good. Saskatchewan was doing relationship programs. Manitoba was also doing that. If you have a brother in Manitoba, a sister, a cousin, nephew, okay, they could support your application. Saskatchewan, if you have the same number of people, well, Saskatchewan's program was better because you have about 20 points if you have a relation in Saskatchewan, because that will tip the balance. They really, really used it for so many people, okay? So provincial nomination is very, very good, especially at this time that the ranking points have been so high. It's not gone down below 500 in a long time. And for you to get 500 and above, you should have a master's degree. You should have an average of 9 in the English test, okay? You should have most likely a Canadian education, okay? You should have a spouse who also will meet all those points, and you should be under 30 for you to be able to get up to 500 plus. So that has been very challenging. And the longer they wait before they do draws, the more the scores go higher, because then more people will be in the pool with higher scores, and they will now prioritize. But I think the government, in the last 5 years, we believe that the government has been kind of confused, okay, with where they want to be, what they want to implement, with some people saying that, oh, temporary residents are too many, that they want causing housing crisis and all that. Then the government is not taking knee-jerk decisions. They will make changes, introduce changes, sometimes in a year. We had this temporary resident to work permit program that implemented during COVID, okay? It ran for, I think, about 5 years, where people who are here on visitor's visa can actually apply for work permit from within Canada, okay? It was there, it was working very well. I know a lot of these, when we had COVID, especially during for delivery businesses, okay? The government allowed a lot of people to come in to work in those sectors. But unfortunately, there was no way created by the government for you to come in as a delivery driver, for example, to transit from that kind of work to become a permanent resident. So a lot of people who came in then, some of them are back in their country, some of them have claimed asylum, some of them are just living in Canada without status. Government should have had a plan for those people. So PMP matters. If we have anybody who needs it, I think I would strongly recommend that you should avail yourself of that opportunity, especially if you are here in BC. I'll get to the one of BC close to the end of my presentation. In BC, prior to this time, the government had specific occupations that if you are working in those fields, your nomination is kind of guaranteed. I know people who finish school here, especially in the IT industry. Some people were getting their nomination in 2 days. Some were getting a nomination in 2 days. So you have like the daycare centers, for example. Government is encouraging people to come in and apply for the certification, okay? They used to be, they had the education assistant, okay? But they scrapped that now, so it must be a full ECE, that's the full educational certificate. What? Early childhood education certification for you to be able to get nomination. But PMP is very, 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 very good. I recommend it for people who need it. So there's the third one, which is the Atlantic Immigration Program. Those are for people who live in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward, and Newfoundland and Labrador. That program is very good, but most of them are employer-based. You get a job, the government is likely going to nominate you. So I will also encourage people to explore those opportunities. There's the rural and community-based programs, pathways. So a lot of government realized that so many people live in the cities, big cities. Nobody wants to go to the villages that have 5,000 people, 2,000 people. So the government implemented these programs all over Canada to encourage people to go live in those small, very small cities. It's a program that is community-based because you have to apply. If you get a job, you need to apply to the community for them to give you letter of support, and you apply for your nomination. And when you get it, you get your PMP, and you get your 600 points, and you can get your express entry. I encourage people to take this opportunity. Staying in the big cities without the opportunity to apply for PRO, at one point, your status is going to expire. And the worst thing that can happen to anybody is to stay in a country without status. that will destroy your chances of applying for visa anywhere in the world, because most of the countries we put there as part of their requirements, have you been denied visa before by any country? Have you stayed beyond your status in any country? I had a client one time who was denied a visa by UK in 10 years prior to when she approached me. And we submitted the application. She didn't tell me that they had denied her visa before. She applied with her husband. They gave her husband, okay? And they denied her on the ground that she did not answer truthfully the questions. And she said, oh, it happened 10 years ago. I said, no, don't think like that. Saying yes to that answer may not necessarily mean that they will deny your visa, no. But the fact that you did not answer truthfully your status, your situation, made them to just deny the visa, okay? So, community programs are good. We've done one for somebody before, a doctor from the UK, okay? He enjoyed it. Now, the community supported him with a work permit, okay? He was working and later got a PR. I encourage people, young people, to go, and there's somebody looking at me here. I've been encouraging her since to go and do it. So, I encourage young people to take that opportunity. It's good. Once you get a PR, it doesn't mean you have to live there for the rest of your life. Once you get a PR, you can stay for another 3 years, get your citizenship, and move. But even if you get a job in a bigger city after you get your PR, that can be a ground for you to move. So I encourage people, do not keep on hoping when you know that things may not work for you in that big city. Now, pathway 5 is family sponsorship. So in Canada, we have a lot of students, a lot of workers who transited from study permit, work permit, PR. Their spouses, they may be here, they may be back home, okay? That is a pathway that is very good for family. For children who are under 18, you can apply for the spouse to come with the children, okay? So this is based on a qualifying relationship. There are things that you need to provide. And when this kind of application is, when clients approach me, I tell them that truthfulness and proper documentation are very essential. You have to be truthful about your relationship. I've seen, there was an incident, somebody came here with his wife, she's a student, she was a student, they came, and in less than 6 months, the guy said, oh, she's kicking me out, okay? After a careful review, I kind of sensed that they had an agreement back home, okay? I have study permit. If you help me pay part of my school fees, we can submit marriage certificate, okay? And they came here, and the guy kicked him out, okay? And I know in the UK it happens all the time, because UK, the proof of funds, which is a big issue in Canada, is not that big for the UK immigration, because once you're able to show the funds, they don't care how the money got into your account. Once you're able to show the funds for 2 months, they give you your visa. So there were a lot of people, and that's why 5 years ago, you had a lot of social media people crying to say, oh, we came here as husband and wife, I paid the school fees, spent so much money on this, and now we got here, she's kicking me out. Nobody knows the background to that story. So most times I don't judge, I don't even comment. There is something somewhere that is not just right. So family sponsorship is great, it's good. But you have to present genuine documentation to explain your relationship. I think 2-3 years ago, the government started advertising, warning people about fake marriages, and they'll tell you, and that's why in the form they ask you, how long have you been in a relationship? Do your family members know you? Okay. A lot of times people marry, they ask when they call them for interview, what's the name of your wife's mother? If you have to even do that kind of thing, please plan. Have a discussion. Okay? No, seriously. These guys are not stupid. There was a time a Nigerian made a post on social media about Manitoba PMP. She said people are spending $25,000, $30,000, okay, to buy brother and sister in Nigeria. And you can imagine in less than 1 hour, more than 10,000 people were blasting this person that posted. He said, you are spoiling Gary for people. You are doing this, you are doing that. But you see, the truth of the matter is that, do they happen? Yes, they happen. Some people, do they get away with it? Yes, they do. Somebody submitted French. She got invited under the French category. And she said they gave her a procedural fairness letter. Procedural fairness letter is the letter they'll write to you if they are not sure of your credentials. They'll give you an opportunity to explain yourself further. And she approached me, and I said, can you speak French? She said, no. The scores that you need to qualify for French is close to about 7 or 8 in the English test. So for you to get that level of proficiency, you should be speaking French. If you are an Igbo person, Yoruba, you should be speaking like your native language. But you can't speak French. So when you get to the airport and they now bring somebody, an immigration officer that speaks French, and start asking you, I don't know how to speak French, though. They ask you in French, how long ago did you know this person? You start looking at the person. Of course, they will just bundle you back. And that is why they have started verifying all these results. Unfortunately, a lot of our people who are working in these same institutions give them these stories and tell them, oh no, check this person.